Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today started their clothing brand because one of their owners would ride their bike 17 miles and would come up with quirky animals on bikes. Now, 14 years later, their mission continues to provide ethical and quality clothing while promoting alternative transportation and raising animal awareness. Please welcome the owners of Dark Cycle Clothing, Adam and Coryn Enfinger. How's it guys going?
Good.
So I guess thank you so much first off for having lunch with me. I know I've been wanting for a while to have you guys on. What's your usual go-to lunch for you guys?
Today is Cinco de Mayo, so we've already hit up a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, I like that. That. If it's not Cinco de Mayo, is tacos or Mexican usually a go-to?
Yeah, it's pretty frequent.
Pretty frequent around here. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good thing. Do you have a go-to when you go Mexican?
We just found this really great place out in Dade City called Del Carmen, and it is top notch.
Okay. So tacos, that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get what is the go-to order when you do go to a Mexican restaurant?
Oh, I do al pastor tacos.
Okay.
On corn tortillas.
Nice.
I'm burrito guy most of the time. Burrito, steak, that sort of thing.
No, I love it. Okay, so tell people a little bit about Dark Cycle and how you guys came up with it. I know I kind of gave already kind of a little bit of a glimpse on it, but I'm kind of wanted to get a little bit more of an insight of like how that kind of all came about and then how you guys came up with the name.
So it was a time frame when we were pretty poor and broke, and work was pretty far, 17 miles or so from the house. Car broke down on the way there once, and it was an old Volvo that I got for free. So I just couldn't fix it. It was too expensive. So that night we went to Walmart and bought a $100 road bike, and I started riding my bike to work. And over the course of, I don't know, I did it for about a year, but in that time frame, I just felt like I was a cyclist, and I was like, I worked at a screen printing shop.
Yeah.
So wanted to like wear that, everywhere. So I on the bike ride one day had an image of, I saw these runners, high school running crew, running around.
Yeah.
And for some reason, early in the morning, my brain saw a shark chasing them on a bike. Just like, what if that's what they're running from? And so I don't know. That's one of the things that kind of, pushed it along. And I did the drawings and put it on shirts and wore it. And then people were like, go for this. You should put it out there. So it's kind of where it started.
And then Adam's like, Coryn, make me an Etsy shop. And I was like neck deep in babies at the time. I'm like, I don't have time to make you an Etsy shop. Like of these weird shirts you're making. But I put together the Etsy shop, and I, kind of researched, looked into, back then what to tag this stuff with, and their system ran pretty differently because we're talking, what year was that now?
2008.
2008. Yeah.
2009?
No, 2009.
Yeah.
So I just kind of researched like what was working for their t-shirt companies as far as like how they were photographing things and how to tag our stuff. And I was like, it'd be cool if we sold like, a shirt a week or something on here. And we put it up in March of that year, and it was really not much going on there. And then in October of that year, I was like, I wonder like if I really put some effort into this, if it would sell. So I started just like researching more. Like they used to have message boards on there and stuff. And I spent like 1 week just like pouring into it. And immediately it was like I unlocked something where it was just order after order coming in. We had no protocol for it at all. Like we had no shipping station, no nothing. We were taking our packages to the post office, like having them like put the stamps on it and everything, but like in garbage bags. And it was a disaster. It was a disaster. But I feel sometimes like we're still catching up. Like it just hit us by surprise, and like, 13 years later, we're still like catching up from that.
How did you guys come up with the name?
The name. It's a mystery. I try to tell a different story every time.
Oh,
Kind of
really?
like
I like
the
it.
Joker, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how
I
he got
like it.
his smile. No, but honestly, I think the name just kind of came from the car breaking down. Everything felt dark. Life just felt heavy, you
Yeah.
know, and then I got on the cycle, you know, and it just sounded kind of cool together. We were
Yeah.
in the dark spot. We're using this to bring light and joy and all of that. So maybe turn it around, you know?
When you were on the bike, I was kind of curious about this because I know like everyone kind of has different times where when their brain works best and stuff like that. So when you were on the bike, when you were on it, did you listen to music or anything, or is it pretty much no music or anything like that? So you kind of had even more because I mean, obviously, I know when you're writing, you kind of need to not have be impeded by anything of like sounds and things like that. But I was just kind of curious.
Yeah. So Tampa at the time, actually, I think was the third or fourth worst city in the country to ride your bike in. Most deaths, all that sort of thing. Just really unsafe.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten a little better since then, but let's hope.
I mean, for sure, we have more money.
Yes, they've worked on it. But so I wouldn't listen to anything. I would leave my house at around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and it would just be me and the bike, you know, and trying to dodge crazy people that early in the morning.
So was the shark the first design then that you guys made into a shirt?
I did a whale actually. It was like a whale.
A giraffe.
And a giraffe and a shark and a T-Rex. So we did kind of 4 all in a row.
Okay.
Right at the beginning.
I'm kind of curious. I won't ask so many animals on bike questions, but I am kind of curious. One, what's the most popular animal on a bike? I think I know the answer, but I want to know from you guys. What is the most whimsical animal on a bike that most popular?
What do you think first?
I think it's the sloth.
Okay, there's definitely, because we've been around for 14 years, there's seasons to it.
Okay.
The sloth, it rises and falls.
Yeah. So the sloth has definitely been up there at times. The Sasquatch.
Oh yeah.
Was huge for a long time.
It's an axolotl now, right?
Axolotl.
Yeah.
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 So I think is the current top seller.
But I think all time at this point, it's sloth and the Sasquatch would be neck and neck.
Yeah.
And then which one has been the hardest one to put on a bike?
I find the most challenging things to put on bikes are fish. So
I was gonna say that's when you said to shark, I was just like now I got to look and see how he did that because I'm like that's to me that's where my brain was kind of going as well. I was like, that's got to be so hard to be able to do. And obviously you got the skill, Adam. You got the skill from screen printing. And then you're also a designer and illustrator because that's one of the beauties of like how I'm so impressed with what you guys and how you guys operate because you guys still screen print your own stuff.
Yeah.
And everything like that. So what does your process usually work when it comes to that? Like you design it and then just, literally have the screens and then screen print as you go, or how does it usually work? Because obviously you guys also do a lot of events.
So process, obviously design first. I come up with concepts via, looking at a million things, almost making a collage in my mind of how it's going to function. And then I take that image of, structure and then start my pencil drawing from there. So I pencil the paper and that process goes through Photoshop to then, work with light for screen printing. Goes through the screen printing process, making a screen, lining it up, getting it ready. And then I manually print everything. So from there, yeah, it's either we have a wholesale stream. So like small shops that buy bulk. We do our retail sites, so Etsy and .com. Then we have our live show stuff. So each one kind of has its own method of getting pushed through.
Does that mean each one has their own method of inventory, Coryn?
We don't do inventory.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I yeah, I was gonna say, like, you guys probably just have like, we just buy bulk shirts and literally as we need, we just start building and going. I'm assuming, like, but before, so before I go there, let me back up a little bit, because obviously, Coryn, you kind of brought up the topic of like, at first you were kind of like, we'll see what happens if it does or doesn't. At what point did the two of you have this conversation where you're like, I think we really have something here and we need to like actually dedicate the time to do this? Because usually, when you have like a couple and you're both together, and if it's both, the income, I mean, it's got to be like a serious conversation to have. So like, at what point did you guys start kind of having that, like, I think we got something, we're going to take this plunge and this jump in, and go head first?
Well,
so, yeah.
You want to go ahead?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so we already had a we had a little side screen printing project on top of him managing a screen printing shop.
Got it.
So it was one of those things that it just wasn't really taking off or anything. It was a small, very 4-color setup. But when that month I told you that it just like took off, it was the holiday season, and like we were working very low income jobs at the time, and it was 2009. So like, minimum wage was like trash. And we made that month, it was like $10,000 on Etsy on the shirt. So it was a lot more money than we were used to coming in at the time. But it was the holiday season. So I was like, okay, well, we can't stop now because, January is going to hit and, it'll be done. But our sales actually increased that January. Like it was like we got momentum then. So we started, it just took off from there. So I think it was that by the end of that January, we were really like, okay, we don't have time for him to work a full-time job. The screen printing shop was in my mom's garage. Like, how far was it at that time?
Your memory is a little bit skewed.
Oh, is it?
On how things went down, because
I love this.
I will say, we have 7 children and a grandchild. So
I was going to get to this point. I was going to get to that point of how the heck you guys balance this, but go on.
There's a lot going on. So, okay. So I did work at the screen printing shop where I came up with the designs, and I had them for a long time. That was in 2007.
Okay.
In 2007, I got enough, I don't know, confidence, arrogance, something to think that I could run my screen printing shop better than my boss.
Okay.
So I was like, Coryn, let's get a business loan and let's start a business, start a screen printing shop. So that's what we did. I quit my job and we literally, we got a business loan, and then George Bush gets on the TV 5 days later and says, we're in a recession. So, and then about a week later after that, our house burned down. So,
holy shnikes.
And then we got pregnant.
Yeah, with Ransom.
So all of this happened within a month. So October 2008, we started a business. The world went into our
2009.
No, it was 2008. But we started our screen printing shop. Yeah. We then did all that other stuff. The business wasn't going very well. It didn't do very well. I couldn't get enough clients. It just wasn't working. And so that's when I was like, let's really start the dark cycle thing. And
that's when we stopped focusing on our screen printing shop.
Yeah. And because it picked up in December and all of the stuff that she said before, we were then able to stop trying to create a screen printing shop, and we created a clothing brand from there.
That is how it went.
I like how it all matches now. Coryn, when you said you were pregnant, is that pregnant with your first child or number two?
Yeah,
okay.
We already had a baby.
Okay. That's okay. So wow, that's crazy. And then so you guys did the Etsy, and then I think from what I've read and from what I researched, I think like you guys the Etsy on 2009, 2011, you guys then did a .com, and then I guess we're doing both then. Had like the .com and an Etsy, which by the way, I think is amazing. I don't know why I never thought of that. And I've never even asked you guys about this because Like, I just think I'm like, wow, I'm like, what an amazing concept. Because I've talked to other guests and they describe Etsy and like your website as two different, like they describe it on the world of internet world. They call the Etsy is the mall, and they call the .com is your brick and mortar, like in the world of internet. And and I started thinking about it, and I was like, that was another reason why I wanted to talk to you guys so much as well, because I was like, man, I'm like, that is such an interesting concept to go and do, because I've never thought of doing an Etsy with my website. I've always looked at it as just my website and selling my stuff on my, like, through my Shopify, but not through an Etsy, which is like everyone goes and shops there.
That's how we took off. I don't think we would have ever taken off if it wouldn't have been for Etsy, because so many people found us. It was like we had bloggers that found our stuff and were posting it, and BuzzFeed and all that stuff back then, that and it just picked it up. Whereas I don't even know how people would have found us otherwise, because we weren't doing live shows when we started.
Yeah, and now you guys added the live shows. How long have you guys been doing live shows now, since in the last 13 years?
So Atomic Holiday Bazaar.
Yep.
They pushed us really hard because she had found us on Etsy, and she said, you really need to do my show. You'll sell a lot of shirts. And we were like, we don't know how to do that. How do we even set up? I used to set up band merch, and I was like, I don't think it would do. I don't want to sell like that. I don't want to be face to face with a customer with them. That's just not the way I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I wasn't ready to figure that out. So we waited, I think, a couple of years, and she kept bugging us. She's like, you got to do it.
She's like, I promise you're going to kill it. She's like, I know. She's like, it's going to be worth your while. And yeah, Adrian was definitely responsible for the live setup for us.
Yeah. So we finally figured it out for Atomic, and our first real live show was Atomic in 2000.
I don't even know.
I know. She's been doing it for like 15 years. So I know it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So that's so I guess one of my questions will be on the whole idea. Do you guys have any tips or tricks that I should think about or consider when I'm thinking if I am seriously considering, and my goal, that's one of the goals for this year, is to get on Etsy as well. Do you have any tips or tricks on wanting to do that? One of the questions I was going to ask about was inventory, but now I know that answer. You guys also print in house, so it's like a lot easier for if you do have a need. But do you have any tips or tricks for anyone who wants to kind of do that and swim in both both Etsy and on a .com?
It's kind of hard to do both like full force. When we moved to the .com, our Etsy kind of took a back burner. Like, we still keep it going, and we obviously still do the customer support on there, but I will say it's hard to keep two things updated at all times. So if you want it to be really successful, it's just updating your listings on there, making sure your photography is like good on there, and just getting the stuff out quickly. It's not hard to run. I feel like it's easier to run than your own store. It's pretty plug and go, so
we the one thing we don't personally make is our stickers.
Yeah.
So they're produced for us, but Etsy actually sells more stickers for us than our .com. So that's like, you can focus on a product like that and push and you get your name out there.
That's actually what I was thinking. So that's awesome for me to say to you guys to hear, because I was thinking of doing enamel pins and stickers, and things like that, and trying to see how that goes and then build it up from there. So that makes total sense.
And if you have like one shirt that you're really proud of, or you really want to see get larger, or you're going to, different audience, or if it's not selling on your .com and something like that, you could put it on your Etsy and just see where it goes, take it off your .com or whatever, have your inventory just on the one. So
I'm curious, what is your, why would you not want to put your stuff on there?
Oh, there's no curiosity. There's it's more of me just trying to figure out how I'm going to handle the inventory aspect of it, because obviously I don't print. I have someone that prints my shirts, so it's making sure that my inventory levels are correct. So then it's like me trying to figure out, do I go the route of where I do like a small amount of inventory on the website to see, so that way every shirt's there, but have like maybe 4 or 5 of each size or whatnot there, so that way at least it's there. So I think that's the part where it's like me, the rolling up the sleeves and actually trying to create all of it and do all of that. That's part of it. And I think so that's why at first I thought, okay, I could do stickers and I could do this. The other part is I'm just trying to figure out some of the elements of like the shipping aspect, like how the shipping works and all that stuff. Like I'm just trying to figure all those things out, just because I do everything through my Shopify, and it runs very smoothly when it comes to the shipping and all that stuff. And I weigh all my stuff's like scaled and weight, but because of the fact that I don't put it in a poly mailer and I put everything in a box and it comes wrapped like a shirt, a sandwich, and it's like the whole thing, like those are all elements that I'm trying to like figure out logistically what's the best way. So it's kind of like I'm creating my own hurdles. I just need to literally just say screw it and just put it out there and just sit down one day and just get it out and do it. So that's kind of where I'm kind of at right now.
No, yeah. Adding a new spot to sell your stuff is always a pain. So, I understand that for sure. Yeah.
How many, out of curiosity, because you guys have been doing this for a while now, do you guys know how many animals on bikes I've actually done? I know you've done like, we'll talk. I mean, I want to know like the number of animals, but then and also how many shirts? Cause I mean, you guys now have like, I literally you guys are rock stars. When I see you at an event, it's always like the location everyone's always at. It's amazing to see. I absolutely love it because you two are amazing and you guys do amazing stuff. One of my favorite shirts is my rhino on a bicycle. So I definitely get it. But I'm kind of curious, how many animals have you put on a bike? Do you know?
I think it's upwards of 300 or more.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the 300 to 400. I thought is where you guys were at.
Yeah.
And we used to have a subscription, so I would have to draw one every month, for that, just to make sure, I stayed on top. And so there's always art being done. But then whenever you design one, you're kind of like, oh well, I'm gonna do these too. So yeah, it just kind of compounds.
How long did you guys do the subscription service for?
About 4 years, I think. And we tried 2 different ways of doing it. And we had very loyal people doing it that loved it. It just became the work to try and make it good. I just didn't feel like I was doing a great job at it because of the weight of just everything. So I didn't want to give a halfway product. I really wanted to, if I ever do it again, I want it to be solid and like 100.
I've noticed that you guys now started kind of, I love seeing your art. So like, I noticed that you now gone a new kind of I basically have noticed now you guys started doing animals playing instruments. So how did that one come? How has that come about?
We had a wholesaler, I think it was in Canada, actually, that a long time ago, probably all the way back in 2012, requested an animal with an instrument. So like I said, when I start one thing, I just keep going with it. So I made these 4 animals back then, and they did pretty well, but we made it a limited edition thing, and we sold it pretty much to that one wholesaler. Other than that, but then we got some more requests for more recently, so we re-released them, and that's kind of where that recent batch came from, was the interest. So
are you guys thinking of doing more? Like, is this some like a new avenue, or is this just kind of like, we'll just do it for a bit and limited release to mix it up a little?
I do have a couple more designs that I haven't drawn. They're in the works. They're kind of in the ethos of being created. But time right now is crazy. I don't know if you can hear the sounds, but our whole house is destroyed. We had a flood, and We don't have a kitchen. We just recently got our bedroom back. And we just actually moved back in recently because we were in an Airbnb for 2 months. But yeah,
we've been dealing
life
with
has
this
been
end of
hectic.
November.
Have-
So it's been nuts.
So wait, so hold on. So you've experienced fire, flood. The only thing
Flood.
left are like frogs and locusts, right? Is that the
Yeah,
only other
yeah.
ones left?
It's coming. I feel it.
Jeez Louise. What my gosh, I really, and oh, by the way, and you also, like you said, you also have 8 kids. So in your life. That's how the heck do you guys find a way to balance it? Because you guys are doing all of that. You got you got a full-time business, you guys are doing events, plus you also have, I mean, I have one, and I think one kid is a lot, and which is like probably child's play to you guys. Like, how do you guys handle that to be able to manage all of that?
I think we're a little bit crazy on some levels.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we're always working, and we're always busy. You know what I mean? So it's like,
we have amazing community.
we do. We have good friends and family, and
a huge support system for everything, because just there's a lot of people that care about us, and so we feel taken care of by our people, and that gives us space to get our work done. We work from home, we homeschool, we do all of that, so we're always home.
I think, like, as far as balance, like things like we do family art night. Like, when he's got to draw, he's drawing at the table, and so are the kids, so it's like we're having that time as a family, but we're also working. Like, I make sure when I'm like plugging away at my laptop, not always, but like a good 80% of the time, I'm at the dining room table, so that like I'm around and I'm not like pulling myself away from everybody. Of course, there's times that I need to like get out of here and go to a coffee shop and just like, crank some
focus
stuff out. But I think that's part of our balance, is really making sure we integrate our family into what we're doing. Like, we were at Punk Rock Flea the other day, and we brought the kids. We knew they weren't going to last, like the toddlers, but I'm like, they're seeing what's happening, and it's kind of part of their lives, and it's part of our lives.
And Ella, our oldest, is now
she runs the booth.
She's running the booth a lot of the times now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's the age range of the children?
Our oldest is 16 and our youngest is 2, and we have a 1-year-old grandbaby in the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
God bless you guys. Seriously, God bless you. With that being said, what's the best and the hardest part about running a clothing brand?
I would say freedom, but I mean, at the same time, where you have freedom, you have a heavier weight of responsibility. I don't ever get to go home. Work's never done. Literally, it's right out there.
Yeah.
And and it doesn't ever end. So yes, I think and it's not that I'm just pissing off a boss anymore. I'm just pissing off every customer that I make a mistake to. So I don't know. I love the creative business that we've made. It fits us, I think. So the best part, I think I would say, is the freedom. We can go to Disney when we want, hang out with the kids, do whatever, stop working, work.
Yeah, go to lunch, Cinco de Mayo,
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like, running a t-shirt shop, it's like, it's never done. Like, the work's never done. And like, I never worry about like when somebody's doing another clothing line or something. I don't view it as competition, because I know that like the work that goes into this is so freaking hard that if anybody wants to put it in, like, good for you. Like, there's enough people that are going to buy t-shirts that like, but there's also not a ton of people that are going to work as hard as a successful t-shirt company is going to work. And I say the term successful very loosely for us.
No, and that's actually a good one. What is your definition? How do you guys handle success?
In what way? What do you mean?
Like how have you guys been able to handle it? Because I mean, obviously you guys have sold hundreds and thousands of t-shirts.
Mhm.
You're a very, t-shirt brands do not go 13 years unless they're doing something right. So we'll rephrase it as what do you think is your recipe for success? Obviously hard work is one of the ingredients. What else you
Mhm.
got? What else do you think is part of your success, your recipe for success?
I think people have really just like they really have liked what Adam has created. They like he's somehow touched a nerve on like a very large group of people. Like it's not just cyclists, it's not just people who like animals. Like I feel like there's probably people wearing our shirts that neither cycle nor like animals and
Oh,
somehow
I like
still
animal. I like animals. I don't cycle, but I do like
Yeah.
animals. So yeah, no, I get it.
But I feel like it's just like the people that come and buy it, there's no demographic that we are catering to. It is so varied. So I feel like he really did hit a wide, like he threw out a very wide net with this one and it worked somehow.
Mm, yeah.
And very hard work. Like he works harder than anybody I know. Like he is out there manually screen printing all of these shirts and like he doesn't stop. So
I'm trying to figure out how to stop.
I was gonna ask. Well, that was the other thing I was gonna ask. Was like, at what point do you go the route of like, hey, I'm like, we're at a point where we need the help. Like, we can maybe have someone else come in and do the screen printing or something like that, or the aspect of the selling. I mean, obviously, I know you guys have had folks that come and also help, set up
Mhm.
events and stuff like that. But like the screen printing part of it, I mean, is it because of the fact that one, it's and I also know, like, for some reason, for like a great example, like a chef, they enjoy the aspect of the prepping, the cutting, and having the control of that. Is it something like that where for you, are you the only screen printer that screen prints all the shirts, or do you have other people, like a team of other people that you kind of are willing to delegate and go out with some of that stuff?
Um, I've trained multiple people um, to do it. I mean, to be able to pay someone well and do that definitely takes a huge chunk out of everything. So it has to be somebody, I know I trust, like family, because it's at my house.
Yeah,
And so you train people and then they get confidence and I can do this too, just like I did,
that's what you
you
did.
know?
Yeah, no, I get it.
And
I
I,
get
and
it.
I don't get angry
Yeah,
or upset. I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. And then they move on and I'm like, oh, well, that year
I'm
of
back.
training
I'm back to
is
square one.
done. So I
Yeah.
actually trained one person. I was able to actually go to Spain for 2 weeks back in 2017. And that was amazing. And I was like, I want more of this. But then he was like, I'm going to start my own thing. And I'm like, congratulations. See you later.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Like, and how do you guys balance that? Because, like, I mean, obviously, you guys are, obviously an amazing team to be able to balance all the aspects of all that, because you're dealing with like are you the packet? You got like the packing aspect, you got the screen printing, the ordering of the making sure you're ordering enough stock of your blank shirts, plus getting all the social media and everything else that comes with it. I mean, there is a lot to do, especially when it comes with the two of you trying to handle all those things. I know for me, I understand and respect what you guys do, because I'm trying to do it all by myself, and sometimes I kind of suck at it as much as I try my best to do it. I mean, I
Same.
obviously, it's a hard process.
Yeah.
So we have somebody who does our customer service and she comes and does packing and shipping for us as well. Um, we've had people run our social media on and off through the years. And so we've had different people helping at different times. And like sometimes it's been great, sometimes it hasn't been. But in general, like it's hard. It's hard to maintain like a team on such a micro level business because yes, we're successful, but we're successful in a way that can support our family and like not really much more beyond that. So I guess the next leap would be for us to hit some financial situation where we could
Yeah.
hire more, but it to pay somebody decently. And I would just never have somebody working for us that I was not compensating fairly, if that,
No, I
So,
get that.
yeah.
No, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Why do you think, and we've kind of talked already, we've kind of touched about it, but I'm just kind of curious because through the years, you guys have definitely must have seen clothing brands come and go. What do you think it is that why so many, obviously we know the reason why people would want to start a clothing brand, but why do you think is the reason why so many brands don't survive the test of time?
I personally think it goes back to like it's really hard work. Like as far as and I don't just mean like physical. I mean like sitting there and like if we want to come out with new shirts, it's a whole stinking process. Like
Well, it's learning
Yeah.
new social networks. It's learning SEO and the constant changing of how that functions on the internet, how websites should look and what people are, into or whatever. The constant grind, I think, wears people out. But then I've known other guys that they did really, really well, and then all their eggs were in one basket. And then their client that was making them all their money goes away, and they can't recoup it. So there's all kinds of aspects that'll snuff you out.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, it wears you out.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah.
It definitely does. I'm not gonna lie, it definitely does. There's certain, for me, obviously, it's always the aspect of I always feel like when I do an event, I always never have enough, or I should have brought that design. Oh, I didn't bring it, but because I can't bring everything, and I don't have enough of the size of a certain size. It's always like a game of that, of like trying to figure all those things out. So I totally get that. One of the things that I've noticed, at least for when clothing brands, is at least for what I've noticed through the years, is maybe that obviously the levels of work and everything that comes with that. The other one I kind of feel is that sometimes some brands don't have a particular niche. They're all over the place. There's no focus when it comes to their brand, or they're all over the place when it comes to like what you're seeing from the brand. And so sometimes I think that kind of the lack of focus sometimes plays a factor in it. And so, but for sure, like it's definitely a grind, but it's also something that I absolutely love. Like I mean, I gotta think it's got to be an amazing. I'd love to know what your thoughts are when you see people around. I mean, I'm always taking pictures or telling or going up to someone and say, hey, I like your Dark Cycle shirt. Like I just think it's something, it's an amazing feeling to be able to see other people wearing like whether wearing your brand or wearing brands that and understand like they're doing like amazing things. So I mean, that's got to be something pretty amazing when you guys are walking around and people see them, wearing your stuff.
Yeah, it's always fun too. Like we'll have friends on vacation and they're like, I'm in New Zealand and I saw a Dark Cycle shirt, and I'm like, that's pretty rad.
Yeah. Somebody was walking around in Portugal, in Lisbon, and like they were like, I saw your shirt and it was right in front of me. I wanted to stop the guy. But and then we had another funny story. I guess two people had our sloth shirt on and walked into a cafe in Chicago, and I think they became, from what
dated.
They dated. I think they got married in the end. I don't know.
They ended up in a like.
They definitely got in a relationship because of the Dark Cycle shirts and the. I was like, that's cool.
That's awesome. Have you guys ever had one of those moments? Like, have you guys like ever gone up to someone and be like, oh, thanks for wearing my stuff? Do you guys ever do that?
I'm really shy. I don't know how to talk to anybody ever. I should wear a shirt that says awkward always. Really socially awkward. But my kids, they see it and they're like, and they yell at them, and I'm like, stop. So
our 4-year-old, he's always like, anytime he's wearing a little Dark Cycle shirt, people will be like, I like your shirt, and he's like, my daddy made it, and they're like, yeah, and like they're like, your dad is Dark Cycle, and like his dad is Dark Cycle, like he's not lying to you.
Do you guys, I'm always curious about clothing brand owners, how often do you guys actually wear your own stuff?
I always do because it's the cheapest shirts you can get. You
That
know,
is true. Okay, I gotcha.
make it.
He's wearing a dark cycle shirt.
I
Now you
know.
just can't
I
tell.
see it.
I get high on my own supply. It's great.
No, that's phenomenal. What advice would you give someone starting out and wanting to start something?
I would tell them to do it. I tell them to just like that. Just put your head down and go. Like, do it.
Yeah, there's enough. We are definitely on that wavelength that there's enough out there for all of us. And
Yeah, when people are like, "Oh, it's an oversaturated business," it's like, no, like, get in there. Like, people are always gonna, if you're passionate about what you're doing, there's enough out there for everybody, for sure.
yeah, if you believe in it and you love it, put it out there. I mean, I made these shirts for me because it was what I wanted, and somehow that resonated with other people. And
it's funny because when we started, he put those out, and then we had like a punk rock band before, and we blocked out the name of the band and just had the designs, and we threw those on the Etsy shop too, and they did okay. Like, and it was just like punk rock looking stuff with like bugs and hot air balloons and skulls and stuff like that. But like the animals on bikes were what took off. So I also always say, like, also pay attention to what people love too. You know, like, put out what you love. But if, you know, for me, would I have rather worn the dark skull punk rock stuff? Yeah, that's more me. But if it's not selling, like, scratch it and move with what.
Pivot.
Yeah, pivot. And now he's putting out the stuff again, and like,
I have I don't know if you've seen the
skull
life
with
and,
a rose.
the life and death line.
Yes.
I kind of just it's what I've always it's art I've always made, but 2020 kind of gave it a new feeling and a new story because we've all dealt with this death, you know, the heaviness of what we all went through, the loss of connection, community stuff that we loved, and then so another dark cycle in a way, life and death. And I guess all of my art has been cycles. So there's the animals on bikes, and there's the
cycles of life.
We did planets, so, you know, cycle. I think we did a pie shirt once because it's a circle, but not a pie as a food, but pie as in the number.
Sorry, that's how my brain went. My brain was like, "There's a." I don't remember a pie shirt.
Both
like,
are. Both
I'll
are
take an apple
circles.
pie or a cobbler shirt. Sure, I'll take a cobbler shirt.
But no, we put these life and death shirts out, and it's actually the highest selling shirt currently that we have. Is the Grows life and death shirt. So, which is interesting. But
yeah, it's funny because it was one of those things that we pivoted away from, and so I guess that's the other thing is, like, don't be afraid to throw something that like didn't work out and kind of like rework it and try it again, because it might have just been the wrong time, and you know, it might be the time for it again. And if you had something you really believed in at one point, it just because it doesn't work once doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you. Like,
It could be a timing thing. It could totally be a timing thing, or just wasn't. You were ahead of your time when you first did it.
Yeah, right.
Is kind of what it is. I have two more questions, and then we'll wrap up. One is, do you guys have a favorite dark cycle shirt that like is like you that's like your favorite one that you tend to wear more often, or you tend to kind of gravitate towards the most?
Currently my favorite ones to draw all forever have been the sea animals, but for some reason maybe it's the Florida thing. I don't really like, I don't know. I love alligators. So I've been wearing the alligator a lot. So but then the sea turtle and the octopus, those are my three favorites.
Yeah.
I have three. Mine is my lion shirt, my tiger shirt, and my rhino shirt. I like those.
All good ones. And then so hold on, let's go back. You said something in it, and I know we've talked about this before briefly, and you just like, oh yeah, you guys were both in a punk rock band.
Yeah.
Is that how you guys met?
We met at a punk rock show.
We did meet at a punk rock show, but then I had always written and been in punk rock bands and she owned a bass. So I'm like, let's do this and make a punk rock band.
To say I was a bassist would be like a very loose, like he basically was like, put your fingers like this for this song.
You can still listen to it.
Yeah. As
It's
long as it's still music.
It's on Spotify.
Is it?
You can find it.
So, okay. I'm going to ask, what was the name of the band?
Fall Empire Fall.
Okay.
That's the name.
It's a great name.
It's fun.
I'll plug Adam. He still does music.
You do still do music, Adam?
Yeah, I
Is that your creative outlet? Another creative outlet?
I have too many. I'm starting to actually build guitars with my son too.
Are you serious?
We're learning how to build guitars. So that's the next thing. Keep an eye out.
I will.
But yes, I do still play music. And yeah.
So you have to tell them your band name.
My last band name is hard to find. It's Go, G-O, and that's it. So it's impossible to find on the internet, but I don't know. It's what we wanted to do. We wanted to be real simple.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that was the last one. The new one, it doesn't have music out yet. So
okay.
Stay tuned.
Where can people follow and support the brand and do some shopping?
darkcycleclothing.com. That's where you're going to find our stuff. And then I post more on Instagram than anywhere else. So at Dark Cycle Clothing.
Okay. Yeah. Those are the two. And then we'll put in the show notes, we'll make sure to include Adam's Go and any other music as well as also when you guys performed. I definitely want to include that on the notes so people can enjoy to be able to listen to that. Thank you guys so much for being on. I really do appreciate it. I do look up to you guys based on how you guys the work that you guys do. You guys are just like, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. When you guys walk in, you guys are just very cool. And I just think you guys are, I think so highly of you guys. So that was one of the big things why I wanted to talk. Just like, I figure if I can get at least other people to know who you guys are, be able to, and I've always been intrigued to learn your story of how it all kind of came about. So I obviously selfishly, that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast is so that I could talk to people that I want to talk to and get to know, but at the same time also be able to share their story. So I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. And I've just enjoyed seeing you guys, and enjoy any kind of feedback or anything you guys ever provide me. I always enjoy that just because, when your peers are successful, you always want to know what works and what doesn't and how can we help one another type of thing.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, we've always been really impressed with your setup as well. Like, I feel like the first time we saw you guys, or we saw you, we were like, oh my gosh, like you are really doing something unique and different. And
Thanks.
Like the way you present everything it's really cool. Like
it is inspiring. It's something I still haven't figured out how to do myself. Like how to present it in a package so well.
That would be a tough one though, because mine makes sense for it, but on a bike world, like how do you even kind of do something like that?
Right.
That's kind of the toughest part of it. Like trust me, my brain thinks if I come up with something, I'm going to let you know, because I have no problem. I never have a problem sharing an idea with someone, because I'm like, if there's something that we can help, like, cause it's always one of those where, like, when I always tell people, like, whenever you're so close to something, you don't see it as often or as quickly. Yeah. And sometimes when someone else on the outside goes, hey, how come you've never done this? And I was like, oh crap, I don't know. I never even thought of that. It's like right there, but it's because you're in it the whole time. So I totally get that. And I appreciate the kind words, because, and ironically, Atomic was one of the first, reasons why I needed to learn how to do, in a small indoor setup. Cause usually I do a tent setup and had to come up with a small version of my setup. And she was one of the reasons why I had to do it, because that's what I wanted to be able to do, at least, which stinks for me because I only could do 10 shirts, as opposed to, you guys obviously have like a massive trailer, and it's like this massive, it's just a massive setup, but it's impressive to be able to see what you got, how you guys work it and how you guys do it.
Thank you.
Well, perfect. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much to Adam and Coryn of Dark Cycle Clothing. If definitely please check them out online. If you do have any of their stuff, I always love to see people to post pictures, tag them on it, especially if you do it with a sandwich eating lunch. That would be even more fun to be able to see the two worlds collide. If you enjoyed the show, definitely make sure to subscribe, share with your friends, leave a rating. If you want to share and you kind of want to support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads, do some shopping there. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion.